people are the biggest assets we have.
Correct.
People don't know is what careers will they like, right? Often people relate subjects to career.
Correct. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Finance Forward, where we talk about finance, accounts and everything that counts. Today I have Mr. Rahul Jain, who is the Managing Director of BCG India. He's also a father. He's an alumnus of IIM Lucknow. He's an engineer from the Nagpur University. I'm super stoked to have him on the podcast. I want to talk a lot about him, but first, welcome to the podcast now, sir.
Thank you for having me in.
So, when I was thinking about what to speak to you, a lot of things were coming into my mind. I was speaking about you're working with the best minds in the country. I want to talk a little bit about the people still. I want to talk about your education journey overall. I want to also highlight the fact that, how difficult it is, the kind of work which you guys do, and talk to the younger gen about क्या काम करते हैं BCG में. Because BCG is considered as one of the most premium consulting companies in the world. But we'd like to have a little bit about the insight of the day-to-day of what you do. A little bit about your student journey that we appreciate it. So, I'll start with asking you about the first thing which comes into mind. Is a little bit about you're working with the best talents in the country, literally. You're working with, I'm assuming BCG India has about more than 1,000 people working. There's a cachet that in BCG people do come from top IIMs, the top schools in the world, or it could be who was cracking an interview. So when you're looking at handling people's skills, and you've been here 20 years, when you're looking at handling people or people problems, how do you go about it as now the mentor director as well?
So I think they are a people business.
Yes.
We always say, people are the biggest assets we have.
Correct.
Right, and it is an end-to-end journey, right? Starts with hiring the best talent, and we really do scout for exceptional minds and exceptional skills.
Yeah.
And then providing them world-class apprenticeship once they join the company.
Yes.
Giving them a diverse experience across different projects, different industries, sectors, right? And then giving them close mentorship, because our skill is a business. Our business requires things which can be best learned working with someone. So we have many methods of doing that. We have formal CDC mentors. We have informal mentors. We have a project manager who's a person work with. So there is a very close community, close proximity by which the person develops. Yeah. And then we, of course, have very strong and rigorous training and evaluation processes, which helps to develop the person fully. And then over time, they tend to specialize in areas which they are passionate about and build, great careers. Right. So in this journey, I think two things which stand out for me, which are most critical, is apprenticeship. To me, of course, we have great talent.
Yeah.
But how well you develop them and how they become their best version is very critical, right? And the second is teamwork. Because at the end of the day, our projects are all collaborative.
Correct.
And they are not just internally, but also with the client, right? So how well they work and make 1 + 1 more than 2 is a very important skill set that they need to look.
So when you're looking at handling people across, is empathy a big equation which takes it?
Absolutely. And it starts very early on. Even when basic things like collecting data from clients. In India, in many clients, the data is not ready-made. It's not like you click a button and the data comes there. You're required to go to 10 people there and cut it out of them. And that itself requires very strong people skills to convince the person why they should share the data, right? And from there to, getting to an answer, you need to socialize the answer with all the clients, because whatever you recommend, right, everybody has to agree and understand. And it requires lots of conversations, beyond just sort of the formal frame. And it requires very strong ability to connect with people, both listen, understand, but also build a rapport and then communicate and convince.
Correct.
Right? So this entire empathy skill is quite important.
So I've also by someone who's very close to you that BCG has a brotherhood which is so tight. It could be other consulting companies which I'm not going to talk about, but BCG in particular has a brotherhood, if I can obviously call it, which is very tight. The bond of the company is very, very strong, and it starts from the very top. So how have you guys developed it and passed it over the years?
I think a bit of it is the culture that gets set in an organization.
Correct.
Right. I think it starts with a very high collaborative culture. Right?
Yeah.
From very early on, we are taught that when you are in a project team, you support each other and not try to beat each other. Right. It starts from foundational days. Right.
Bring everyone up.
Bring everyone up. Right?
Yeah.
And that's been the bedrock of our culture. And then over time, what happens is you spend so much time
With each other, yeah.
With each other, especially when you're doing offsite projects, you're together, in another location for 5 days in a week. It tends to, you get to,
Right together.
breakfast together, even play games at night together. So it tends to build that bond, which is very important. We also curate several kinds of formats like offsites and cohort. The cohort is the set of people who join together.
Yeah.
We build a set of bonds between the groups there, and that enables them to also build their bond in culture. But I think, frankly, it's also, what you see, as I said, culture starts from the top. For me, I don't look at my peers as only my office mates. It's very often that on the weekends we are meeting each other.
Correct.
And especially after COVID times, and in the, people are spread out and traveling so much. It's not like you see a lot of time in the week together. So that's how the culture is got to be.
So it's also pretty ways want to chill or get together on the week.
I think over time now, with COVID going away, we are back to physical meetings. So
Which also you enjoy.
which totally enjoy, because there's nothing like a person interact.
So what I also know that you like traveling a little bit. If you like to go to, and the Marwari inside, you will say that I had a little bit of funny है. तो मैं जयपुर फ्लाइट में जाके लेके आ जाऊँ. So COVID did allow now that COVID is starting, we can do that again. But coming back to time management, because that's a focal point for kids, students. You're trying to do many things, but not focusing. Even if you're trying to do several things, focus is the key element. So how do you get focus, and what we tell our students, our learners, a little bit about how to focus at things and get it done? Because many people start but they don't finish. It's ideating and not executing. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in the last 2.5, 3 decades, about how you focus, got it done, and move on to the next project? Or in school, क्या करते थे, college में क्या करते थे? A little bit about the experiences there.
Yeah. No, I could not agree with you more. Focus is very important.
Yeah.
And discipline is very important.
Correct.
They are both connected. If I can share, 2 or 3 stories and taste and learnings from there. I think the first, I would say, there was a point in time I wanted to apply for my postgrad, and I was looking for different options. One of them was pursuing studies abroad, and most of those entrance exams required vocabulary which was very advanced.
Correct, yeah.
And my schooling and upbringing was not such that I am very advanced vocabulary.
Yeah. And you tell us a little bit about your schooling before you...
Yeah, I do that. I'll come back to that. But at that time, when I was preparing for comparative exams, I found that innately I had very good mathematical skills and analytical skills, but I was falling a bit short on the vocabulary part, especially.
Yeah.
Right. I required a fair amount of focus for about 3 to 6 months to lift my vocabulary. I remember, there was this book called, Barron's Word List, which had some 3,000 to 4,000 words, and I wouldn't know more than 500 of them.
Okay. Yeah.
And I spent 6 months trying to internalize all the 3,000 words, and not just internalize but apply. Right. And the same time, there were many others who were focusing on many broader set of preparation. But when I looked at those comparative exams, I figured that maths for me was very easy, and it came naturally.
Yeah.
It came naturally. So it's a good example of focusing on where you need to focus. And had I not spent that time, studying for vocabulary, I don't think I would have cleared my comparative exams. Right? That was one story. Right? Yeah. So I think the message I'm trying to convey is we are all built in a certain way and perform a certain way. It's very important to know your strengths and weaknesses. Right? Normally, I say you should focus on your strengths and make them stronger. That's what I've done most of my life, and I've talked about that a minute. But occasionally, when you need to work on a weakness, it requires a big strong focus. Right?
Yeah.
Secondly, just going back, like you mentioned about going to school. I grew up in Calcutta. I went to a school where street smartness was very, very important.
Yeah.
The school prided itself on people who were typically from business family and typically high in street smart.
Yeah.
So it did inculcate a sense of go-getter mindset, a very good ability to understand business easily.
Yeah.
Right. What it did not provide is very strong discipline and very strong method.
Yeah.
Right. Which again, I was fortunate to meet people in my engineering college.
Yeah.
And my business school.
Yeah.
Who I could draw a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the best form of learning, and that's my second message, is from your peers.
Yeah.
Right. And your peers have a big impact on you.
Yeah.
If you hang out with people who are trying to pull you down, or you will get drawn to them, right? And it's easy to get sucked into doing something.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are with people who are upwardly driven and who are motivated, it can. So I remember in my business school, two of my friends were my wingmates. To be honest, one right in front of my room and one next door, and they came from very different backgrounds. And when I joined, I actually thought I was reasonably smart for that place, and I was getting good grades without much effort.
Yeah.
And then I saw these two people, and one of them was the epitome of discipline.
Okay.
I never seen someone more disciplined, and he was actually as intelligent as I was. And I said, okay, I always finded myself being smart, intelligent, but here's a gentleman who is as smart as intelligent, but on top, he has discipline of a different order.
Correct.
And he would wake up at 5 a.m. every day. He would be very organized. He would come out for dinners, but he would not sit and defocus from his main goal.
Okay.
Right. So there was a lot I learned from him. And then there was another guy who was part of our place call. That's the committee that drives placements at campus.
Yeah.
He was not as disciplined, but he was exceptionally brilliant. He used to study 2 hours a day, and he would score as much as the board would do studying 8 hours a day. Right. And then I saw here are people who are so brilliant that they can achieve the same in so little time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think these people, then looking and observing their
we taught you a lot. Yeah.
taught me a lot. That and to be honest, more than all the teachers and more than all the books and studies, I learned from these two gentlemen how to really.
But you were also ready to absorb it, right? You were also ready. You understood there was an open-mindedness that my Sikhs have found before, and that also has to be inculcated in the world of digital media now. What we also profess is that you have to learn from each other more than anyone else. A book doesn't make back, but a person can. So challenges will come down the road, and of course you can have a strong peer base. You can have a strong mentorship base, but you have to be open to learning.
Yes.
And I think learning comes, and let's speak a little bit about learning, since you got to one of the top schools in the country. Because is there a correlation between what you study and what you work, or there's actually a big gap today in academia versus when you're going and applying yourself? We could be at a client place or in personal life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I think yes and no. Where I think the academia is still very, very helpful, is I would say it provides, it does give a very broad overview, which is very helpful, and at least in the business school.
Right.
The curriculum gives you a good exposure to different facets of business, and I think the formats are evolved to the case study format over time. So it does allow you to discuss, absorb, converse, share, right? So I think to that extent the methods have evolved.
Yeah.
Both the content and the method, right? The second thing where it is very helpful is peer learning, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Because they have all amassed such a talented group of individuals from this country that you can see different facets and different ways of looking at the same problem, right? Where I think there are gaps are, I think the focus is still more on the hard side of business and less on the soft side of business, right? So there is no, there is a lot of emphasis on detailed analytics, detailed statistics, the technical ability, the operations management, the QR, the analytics and the what methods and so on. I think they could be a little bit more on the softer side of working with people, collaboration, teamwork, EQ and empathy, the things which are, I understand a bit difficult to disseminate, but also equally important in today's business.
Correct. So let's talk a little bit about your schooling overall. You actually never wanted to, you applied to go to the US for your masters, and you didn't get, the visa didn't get approved. You were accepted in Purdue. And then coincidentally, you said, I'll give CAT, and you landed up in the IIMs. You also had a vision that you want to be a fixed income trader, wanted to work in Zeman. But now you're obviously, when you're looking at it, when you're taking the dot backwards, you can obviously see that it's worked very well. How were you handling that point of time? Because, there could be students who might not get to the choice of school. There could be kids who have not made the, decision making at that point in time. They feel it's very difficult for them to be able to handle that. So how can you tell them in your journey, because what you wanted and versus where you are at is a little different than what you envisioned. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think you are very well aware of my history. So
I spoke to your wife.
No, so these are, firstly, before I get to specific, the larger point of life is that, God has his own plans for life. And our jobs to keep trying, as the dice rolls, and if God has alternate plans, and we have to be flexible and adjust to where the world takes you, right? On a slightly philosophical note. But on a very specific note, yes, I wanted to do my master's post-engineering. All my friends were doing it. It sounded quite exciting. I was good at my engineering and it was a variety of reasons I became a visa. And thankfully, I had given CAT and I got through. And at that time, I did feel like this was the plan B and not the plan A. But I'm glad, I chose, or God chose for me the plan B, because the plan B worked out quite well. In hindsight, I'm more amenable to management and business kind of career than engineering career. But at that time, and our awareness levels were a bit lower. Today's times are different. I think today's kids are far more aware. I think the information awareness, what different careers entail, what skills entail. Back then, 25, 30 years back, such kind of information was not available. Likewise, on campus, I was very good with the finance courses. So for me, and again, back then the information on what different careers entail was a little bit lower. Right? So the natural analogy I drew was because I put with finance courses, a finance career might be better, right? And it was actually both thanks to an outstanding presentation by CG and a strong nudge from my wife and then girlfriend that I actually chose consulting. And I'm glad I did. I did reasonably well for myself. In hindsight, I realized I had much closer consulting skills than I would have had in any other career. So I think the only 2 points I would make is being open and not very rigid with your ideas is helpful in here. Because beyond the point, things don't always go your way. But at the same time, right, I think there is a difference in today's generation and the back then generation, because back then our awareness levels were very, very low. Right? To be honest, I learned more about consulting after I joined BCT. Today, people know everything about consulting about to join. So I think it's useful to make more informed choices.
But is too much information also problematic? Because, again, you're spoiled for choice.
Actually, the point is different. The point is you are spoiled for choice, but what people don't know is what careers will they like, right? Often people relate subjects to career. Right? Subjects are not what you do in your life. A career, if somebody had explained to me that, a finance job or a fixed income training job, which at some point I vision would require him to sit on a desk and analyze complex models and take decisions independently most of the time. I would not have liked it because I'm an outgoing person. I'd like to meet people, right? So I think the connection between your job, what it takes day to day, and is that the set of things you would like to do in your life is is very important to know, right? And I feel today's kids are more aware of what jobs entail. The other thing is looking inside, right? Really what kind of career, as I advise my younger nephews or nieces or my friends' children or anyone else who reaches out, I always say you should, knowing yourself is the most difficult, because we are often driven by either peers or my parents or what are more attractive job options, and there are more external factors that drive us, right? I think it's a little bit important to also know the boundaries in which you want to operate, right? Some people are not extrovertish and they don't want to don't want to be charming and meeting of people. Some people are I'll tell you one story. One of my schoolmates, so I thought was one of the most brilliant peers I ever came across. Right. He posted engineering, did MBA, and he works today in one of the IT companies.
Okay.
Right. I always thought a person of his caliber, and his IQ should have been in R&D labs or MIT or Stanford, right, to develop something which is path-breaking for the future. Right. But somewhere the world around him forced him to go in this direction. Right. I think it's we are all gifted individuals. I truly believe we are all born with special gifts, right? And now the horizon is even widening beyond just academic careers. There are so many other career streams which are highly both rewarding and remunerating. That many more options can be opened up, right? Especially if you are in the Bombay's and Delhi's and the bigger cities where awareness levels, opportunity levels are high. So one must not be very narrow-minded about it. How to think of it.
Pehle you were told that you go and work in a bigger company or a government job. Today, you've seen a focus shift which is happening. I've seen people from top schools join us also. And they're okay with, they don't want to work. They want to be on the ground, work, again, like I said, be independent decision makers, however, collaboratively do that. So when you're looking at startups especially in the last 10 years, you've seen a boom of startups coming in the country. People have, I guess, finding there in terms of, putting their money where their mouth is, taking an incredible risk, quitting their traditional jobs, starting something which they firmly believe would be their calling. So when you're looking at startups, I don't know if you work with a lot of startups per se, so especially younger age startups. I want to ask you a question which personally we go through. We had this discussion yesterday with the co-founder that when you're growing the company constantly, there are always areas where you can do better. Like you can always be better in Zell, we can probably be better probably a little bit more in marketing, a little bit more in academia. We can always be better. Or you can always say that, listen, let's work towards growth. How would you compartmentalize that, or what would decision making be for you over there? Will you gonna start a founder that listen, probably slow down the growth, make the pillars stronger, and then grow again? Or would you say that listen, let's make sure that keep growing constantly? How would you?
To answer your first question, yes, we work with a lot of startups.
Okay.
I think it's the energy level in a startup is really exciting. I personally worked with few, and I found both the passion to create something unique is enviable, and also our younger generation enjoys working there. I think it's a big draw for our time. I think to your second question, I wish there was an easy answer of A or B. I think it depends on your context, right? I think more generally, right, I would always advise a business to think of creating a solid foundation and even if not currently profitable, a clear path to profitability kind of foundation, right? Your unit economics have to work. Even though in the beginning your business scale may not be able to absorb the overheads that you have because you are investing, but your unit economics and the pathway to unit economics have to be clear, so that there is no ambiguity upon how economics of that business are play and how they will evolve over time. Right?
Correct.
Having said that, there are some businesses where there is a very short window to amass market share, right?
Sure.
Because it's these are winner takes all kind of businesses, or where very fast, there is far early mover advantage.
Correct.
Right? In those businesses, you have to make decisive short-term moves to over-invest and need share.
Yeah.
Right? But you need to be very clear of why are you making those choices? How will those choices eventually help you in your economic structure? Because I do believe eventually every business has to be profitable, right? Otherwise, the basic economics don't work, right? As long as you have a clear pathway, I think investing is okay.
You just answered my question with the most famous model of BCG, the growth share matrix, high growth, high big market. So you guys still follow that?
Very much. I mean,
that's on a day-to-day basis.
It's got refined in its interpretation and nuances a lot, but I think it's a very basic framework and very deep and insightful framework of looking at any portfolio of assets and where you invest, where you divest, where you run for cash, and where you run to exit, right? Because it allows you to think of your business very, very strategically.
Okay. So when you work with a lot of companies, a lot of industries. So can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day? What kind of work you do at BCG? What kind of, in the early stage, a little bit about what you did, and what you're doing now. So can you tell us a little bit for the viewers who understand that BCG with काम क्या होता है on a daily basis? You're working constantly with a lot of clients, a lot of different industries, different challenges that throw at you. A little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think we are in the business of solving complex problems which help advance the world. These problems can be with corporates, can be with public or private corporates, can be with government, can be with industry associations, could be with social ventures at times, right? But our vision is to advance others.
Sure.
Who can advance the world, right? And we really deeply believe in empowering and enabling others who can make a big difference to the world, right? In that context, we each one of us chooses a different set of vectors to operate on. Some choose work on certain topics which they like. Some choose, for example, somebody may like marketing and sales as a topic and they work across that. Somebody may like corporate structuring as a topic. Somebody may like operations and supply chain as a topic. So that's one axis.
Yeah.
The other axis is all the industries, right? We work for all of the large industries, from financial institutions to telecom and technology to industrial and manufacturing to healthcare and energy and consumer and so on and so on, right? So again, people tend to work in their sectors, and build deeper knowledge of that. And then there is a third vector of some people choose the alternate paths. They work either closely on some social ventures which are quite critical for us, like agriculture, like
sustainability,
etc. Sustainability, right? Some also work on closely nation building, helping the nation forward and build a stronger foundation. But the common fabric is it should materially make the world a better place, right? And each of these, when we engage, we work in a project format with a clear goal and deliverable. We work in a team, both our team and our client's team, collaboratively with a clear intent to deliver tangible value. Right? What drives us is clear value, clear impact in the world. That impact has to be generated through deep insight and deep strategic understanding. But finally, that has to convert to deep impact and results, for both businesses, communities, society, and government in a cohesive fashion. And then in that process, build trust within the people you work with, right? So I personally, regarding my journey, first few years I worked across a variety of sectors, right? And that's how we encourage our younger ones to cross-learn across industries. I work with a bank, I work with a lot of consumer companies, I worked with a lot of manufacturing companies, some conglomerates, some MNCs. So that was my first earning journey. I also spent, a year and a half or so in US as what we call an ambassador program.
Sure.
As part of an ambassador program where I was in LA and I got exposed to again a very different kinds of industries.
Yeah.
Media industry, biomedical type of industry. So, but more importantly, very different ways of
working. Correct. Yeah.
And very advanced organizations, which in maturity levels are very different. So that was a very important foundational step for me.
I have a question, sorry, before we go ahead. When you're working with such diverse, and especially early on, how are you able to learn? Because one of the things which you do is also provide solutions to clients, be it process, be it product, or anything thereof. How are you able to help them? Because at least at the start, a little less about the company, about the industry than they do, because they're working there, with the experts. So when you're going in, obviously advising or rather consulting doctors, you're first absorbing a little bit of information. But since at the early age you're doing so many diverse industry, there's no one solution for one. So when you were working back then, what was the problems which you were getting? How were you able to come up with the solutions, across different industries, different processes?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good question, but that's our business. And if I can underpin what makes that work is, I think, 3 points. First is, you are never alone in a journey. While you are new to that industry, the partners and the experts who are driving that, they are deep experts in that journey. So they are able to, shepherd you in the right direction quite actively.
Correct.
And we work very collaboratively across levels. So, in fact, no learning curve is very steep because of the people who are, experts and deeply knowledgeable about their industry and their topic, number one, right? Two, actually there is a lot of cross-industry learning, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Right? Bringing functional facets, bringing cross-industry insights, which sometimes clients value a lot, because clients know their business and industry very well. What they don't know is why are they stuck where they're stuck, right? Whether due to internal issues or market challenges and so on, right? And third, and not the least, is clients get us because sometimes, it's very difficult. They're too close to the subject.
Correct, yeah. And macro.
They want a slightly bird's eye view, somebody to see things from far away. And either on strategy problems or even, internal issues, right? Many times you find in an organization, different functions are working in silos and not collaborating as well.
Correct.
It's very difficult to make that change internally.
Correct.
Right? It's very, it requires somebody from the outside to streamline the process and make the functions work more smoothly. Or even strategy matters, which are very innate to a business. Sometimes you have what we call a native mindset. You get stuck in a way of thinking, and you're not able to make the big moves, right? And that's where again somebody coming and challenging
thought processes, the
internal belief system, right? Well, I think we start with no holy grails mindset, right? We challenge everything, and that's undued.
So I was also told, and I don't know if I should tell this, but I was also told that when Rahul used to work, and especially in the early days, and used to go to a client place, he was often valued more than the partner or the top people over there, because he was just that intense when you were working. Is that your...
No, I don't agree. I think the only thing I would say is I really enjoyed client service, and I would always see the best way to do, as an actor, you are told the best way to do the role is to live that role, right? As a consultant, I always used to feel the best way to be a consultant is to be in the shoes of the client, right? What is the CEO of that business thinking?
Correct.
Right? They are there, they are either looking at opportunities or challenges, and they are stuck in a place, right? It's very important to understand where they are coming from and try to help them be more effective in whatever they are to do. Right? And from my point of view, really absorbing that situation and that context was very important. Yes, I was quite intense because I loved our job and I love our job today. But I think the clients like the fact that I saw things from their lens.
Sure. So, there you were. One of the things which I was trying to find a little bit about you And you could find very little on the internet. You made it a little difficult to know a little bit about you. That's why I had to find. And I got one video of yours. He was speaking a little bit about turnaround management. And turnaround management seems to be a little bit of your forte as well. Can you tell us a little bit what is turnaround management? An example of a company where you've actually seen it, probably in the doldrums, and now it's pretty back up again.
Yeah. No, so unfortunately, I can't share the client details, but I can share more generically. I think the sector that I work with, industrial sector, does tend to have large cyclicality, which, especially in a downturn, can make companies get stuck in a deep balance sheet problem.
Correct.
Right, where their where loan book is higher than what they can potentially service, or the market is going through significant upheavals, right? There are companies, especially in large industries like steel and power and infrastructure, where people did over leverage their balance sheets and then they got stuck, in a set of situations, right? So I enjoyed working, and I have the fortune of supporting many of such clients try to get out of that tough place, right? I think it requires relentless focus on cost and efficiency.
Okay.
On one hand, clarity of balance sheet and servicing the balance sheet, and how do you think about your financial structure, and third is galvanizing the organization to be able to really build a new future and new culture. And this combination of operations, strategic, financial, structuring, and organizational revamp, all of these needed, right, to get out of a tough spot if you get stuck in. And never around means, you were trying to
Start the company up all over again. Yeah.
what do you reinvent where who you are and where you are stuck. And I did have the fortune of working in many companies which were stuck in difficult situations. To be honest, some of them we could not survive. They could not survive because the odds were well against them, right? But we did our best. But many we were able to turn around and create outstanding setups out of them.
And when you're looking at companies now, again, my question is a little bit more specific towards understanding companies. As consultant, you understand problem. The problem, like you said, could be organizational in terms of operation. It could be financially. It could be, across the organization, whatever it may be. It could be culture. It could be people, whatever it is. So when you are attacking problems, what are you constantly? How are you taking step 1, step 2, step 3, and enabling the management also to do the same?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the context and what is the problem statement. Right, our projects are all very diverse. Right? There are situations where there is a very specific and narrow problem that we are trying to solve. Right? There are situations where the agenda and the mandate is very broad.
Yeah.
Right, and whenever the agenda is very broad, right, you have to define the problem. Like start by not a defined problem statement, but understanding that why, let's say a company is not growing. You start from thinking why it's not growing, and you understand both the market facets and the internal, characteristics that try to correlate towards, okay, what are the barriers?
Correct.
Similarly, if a company is, sliding is profitability. So many times, where we start is, what's the goal that we are trying to solve? Right? Sometimes it's a profitability goal, sometimes it's a growth goal, sometimes it's a transformative culture change kind of goal, and depending on that context, right, the only thing we do is don't take all the problem statements at face value. Sometimes clients are articulating something, but what they are meaning is something else. So we have to keep slightly wider and broader horizon in terms of peeling the onion, right? But our approach is always the right combination of big picture and detail, and peeling the onion layer by layer to finally get to the core.
Now, let's speak a little bit about India overall. One of the things looking back is that up in US or that did not happen. You're fortunate to be in one of India's highest growth phases. I've seen a lot of kids now saying that I don't want us to go abroad. But I mean, whenever someone's coming to me, I'm saying that why do we want to go abroad? You literally have everything over here. You have, if you have information on your phone, you can, which is actually what at the max what we need. You can focus, you can start with discipline. What do you think about India the next step?
No, India is, we are in the right place at the right time. I think India is really, has got outstanding prospects ahead of us. Both the external situation and our internal readiness seem to be really, pointed towards a great future. I think worldwide, a lot of the companies are trying to put a lot of spotlight on India. People are trying to restructure their supply chains and build strong assets in India, and also look at India as a market opportunity, but equally a supply opportunity. So worldwide, there is a high focus on India, and our internally within the country, I think with all the changes on the regulatory side, whether it was GST or it was like all the various
Economic policy,
the structuring and bankruptcy law that has come on, all the infrastructure that is getting built, both physical as well as the digital infrastructure. Like it's quite unique and is poising towards an outstanding future. So I'm quite convinced that we have an outstanding future ahead. Coming back to your question of why kids still choose to study abroad, I'm actually seeing a lot more wanting to just study and come back to India.
Yeah.
Because they are sensing greater growth opportunities there.
Yeah.
I think there is while our academic standards are always increasing, like mostly, and not just the IITs and IITs, you see many private universities that have come which are very outstanding.
Yeah.
I will believe that I hope that in near future, a lot more top students will choose to study in India and not go abroad. There is a section that does find it both either easier or more attractive to study abroad, and then choose where their right is.
This talk is, I want to talk about one last thing. I know you enjoy this a lot. Is your meditation, your therapy is actually poker. I've been told that you do play a little bit of poker. Now, since that's a little bit about the personal, not about the community, tell me a few stories about how you're tackling, who's the business of people? Are you that good at gauging people that you're constantly playing poker? Or
no. So first, I really enjoy poker. It's a relaxation form for me.
Yeah.
Right. It's most importantly, it allows me to unwind in a way which nothing else does. So I find it very unwinding. It's also in some ways a challenge and a sport for me.
Yeah.
Right. The competitive spirit in me is fully ignited because I always want to win, and this is a game where
it takes all.
And it's a skill game. So
Yeah.
I do believe that there's a endeavor to always keep getting better at. And see, finally, it's a people game, right? Reading people, understanding people, playing people, all of those happen while you play. And most importantly, it's an analytical game.
And strategy, yeah.
And strategy, I think, becomes is second nature to me, and I like it. So to me, it's all of these. I think the meditation word is slightly overstated, but this is the only thing which can keep me stable in one place for good 3 to 4 hours.
Because when I asked you about the podcast, you said 5-10 minutes ho jayega. You were shocked and after.
Yeah, I find it difficult to sit in one place for too long.
But say for a time, if I tell you and go and watch cricket, you won't do that. Because that's again something you will enjoy.
Yeah, but that is that you can do while doing 2 other things, right?
But again, you're a master multitasking. I don't think this applies to the normal like us. We're not able to do multiple Zoom calls or do.
Yeah, so as far as the lighter side goes, it's very common that I'm playing a board game with my daughter while a match or a movie is on behind, and there's a poker game going on the side. And I'm in this on a regular basis, and that is quite. But to each his own.
Correct. And last thing, how you approach challenges is something, again, your wife told me. That on your toughest day also, you've come home and said that, it was a great day. Yeah, she told me that you would fly to Germany, with a stop over at certain places, come back to India, and you would be exhausted you've gotten, you told us that you were a little under the weather and you still turned up. Is that the mentality which you've conditioned yourself over the years? That turning up is obviously important. However tough the challenges are, you still enjoy that little bit of the job which you do. What was in your mind? How was it?
So this is a very personal thing. I don't want to apply my standards to it.
Of course, no. But people would draw inspiration.
Yeah, but I would take this back to my upbringing. My parents have very high, it cultivated very high resolve in me, and they had high resolve
in them, yeah.
In them, right? I've seen my father being very. If he says something, it will happen.
Okay.
Right? I have never seen an excuse. As trivial a thing as getting vegetables from home, or as important as filing business papers for a big meeting. And I always saw there is no gap between plan and reality, because there was a lot of resolve behind it.
Yeah.
Right? My mother, I've seen she fasts regularly, and I've seen she can fast like multiple days. Right? And I always wonder how she, able to do it. And she says it's all in the mind.
Yeah.
Right? So our mind is a very important, thing in our lives, right? I mean, it can drive you, or you can drive your mind, and how you use it to bring the best out of you is quite important, right? So somewhere I developed this this notion that what you commit, you have to do.
Yeah.
And commit to the world, commit to yourself, commit to people around you, because because that's a test of your resolve. That's a test of your self-control, your ability to plan and stick to.
Also what image, because अगर आपने बोल दिया खुद के लिए तो आप करने का प्रयास पूरा ही करोगे.
And so again, unless I have very severe stress, I would pop 2 pills of Crocin and start back the work. Right? I mean, of course, there have been exceptional situations, but 9 out of 10 times I get to ignore small. And this is not the advice I would give to anyone else. It is very important, but just where I stand in, I feel my fever, cough, cold, just keeps happening. And if you,
especially in this
if you fall prey to them, then so my approach has been to pop some medicines and get off with but again, as I say, people should make choices sit with their better. Right? For me, this has been this has been my body. And regarding work and travel, if you like your work, you will never be de-energized. Right? Exhaustion is a function of how strenuous it was. Right? I enjoy every second of what I do at my work. Right? Whether it's meeting my clients, meeting my team, all the brainstorming we do, and all the meditations we make. To me, it brings energy to me, as against takes energy from them. And as a result, and this is very important, as people make their career choices, to choose what they really get energized by. Right? Like this is too small to waste doing things that you don't like. Right? And I often tell even the younger ones at PCG, if you don't like it, or if you find it over stressful, and then find something else, because you can't spend. We all work 30 plus years, right? You can't work 30 years not liking it. And to me, the analogy I draw is from cricketers. Right? I actually see how driven they are for the sport, right? Because they love it. Right? And I always wonder, what their sport is to them. Why can't my career or my job be to me? Because that is the level of passion and positive energy it should draw. And if you're not getting it, and if you are every day waking up pushing to say, another Monday has come and I have to go to work, then somewhere I feel you're not in the right career.
Also, to build a little bit about more after cricket ke baare mein bol rahe the, I saw this piece by Adam Business where you were saying that in cricket or in sports, you have more bad days than you have good days. And you still turn up with the same energy. The world is focusing on a 25-year-old trying to win the match for them. It's immensely pressurizing. The pressure for Rahul would be from clients who would be working with you, would be probably, or from peers, or from the company within, or from yourself. But there's no world overseeing. So I mean, they have at a young age, they are really looking at the world through a different lens. They're not going through what you and I go through, what from it. People would recognize on a flight probably, and more. So the resolve which they have is obviously absolute. The mental conditioning is obviously very, very high. And I mean, failures are going to keep happening is what I'd like to say. And at any point in time, you can just, it's just how you overcome the failures also, because rejection can keep happening. Last thing is, we spoke a little bit about energy. I was being told, again, that when you go to a problem with Rahul, the problem is first of all made into a very simple statement. And will you super energized about, yourself if you're feeling low, be it personal or private. So again, and that again gets me to the empathy bit, that you're a high empathy person. At the same time, your problem solving skills are innate. Anything you'd like to drop, that like it should drop?
No, so I think the 3 points that you made, I think the first point about failures and bad days, somewhere, while I'm not religious, I do believe in the
spirituality,
dharma theory. That, our work is to do our job, right, to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
To be honest, while I'm not perfect, but I try hard that results don't impact me because they are not in our head.
Correct.
But if you don't put the right effort, it does impact me a lot. I often tell this to my child also. I actually never forget a report card. As a form of judgment. It is more as a reflection and knowing where to focus.
Sure.
Right? But what I do judge is the effort you put.
Of course.
Right? If you don't put the right effort, right? For me, when the exams are coming, preparing a plan and sticking to that plan and ensuring that you did your best is all that matters. If you've done your best, right, frankly, the rest is not in your hand, right? And that's the model I apply to actually even the poker game I play. To me, winning by playing badly is worse than losing by playing better.
Okay.
For me, I put a lot of emphasis to method because that is the only sustainable long-term input you can provide, because the output is
not distinctly, yeah.
Right? And therefore, work-wise also, as long as we did our best, right? That's where I draw my solace from, and that's where next day it turn out as good as, right? Regarding empathy, look, it's a very important thing. We are finally in the business of people, not just in business, in real life. You are dealing with people all the time, right? What takes people is very important to know. Everyone is driven by something else, right? And we are all so heterogeneous with different priorities, different ways of thinking, etc. That getting a good pulse of and getting a good skill to understand the pulse of people goes a long way, and not just in consulting as a career. If you're a good doctor, you still need very high IQ. If you're a good lawyer, you need very high IQ. If you're a businessman, certainly need a very high IQ. So I think if you're a shopkeeper, you need very high IQ, right? Understanding people, what motivates them, understanding their behaviors, helping them feel better, drawing positive energy out of them is super important both in life and in any career that you pursue. I truly believe. I think, and simplify problems, I do believe sometimes we tend to overcomplicate things. Actually, the simpler things are, right, the better it is, right? In fact, our clients value, converting their complex statements into simpler, problem statements, complex answers into simpler answers, because, the world is actually not that,
not that again. Yeah.
And there is so much happening. Finding method to madness and finding straight lines in chaos is really what the most important skill is. So I always try to focus on simplifying, if I can, and drawing the essence out of things.
Super. This was super informative. I learned a lot. I hope our viewers, I hope our students learn a little bit from what you draw from you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Friday, for getting a little time to do this. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. A pleasure.
Thank you.